Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of the Testing Peers. Yes, we've been here for 100 episodes, and thank you for those people who have persevered and gone through every episode. We really appreciate every listen that we've had and every download. I think we're up to about 44,000, so we appreciate every single one of those. Thank you for joining us for this 100th episode. It's going to be a little bit different. We have the 4 original co-hosts, including Russell.
Hello.
Chris.
Hey.
Simon.
Hello.
And myself, David. Hi. And we have our super fan. We were trying to work out whether she's appeared on the most episodes as a guest, co-host, and it's Beth Marshall. So we welcome you along.
Hello. Lovely to be here.
Brilliant. So just before we get started on the actual banter and the main part of which is just a celebration episode, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Saffron QA. Saffron QA have continued to sponsor us throughout this journey, and we are proud for them to continue sponsoring us and to support the testing community. Therefore, should any of our listeners be in the market for a new job in testing or hiring new talent for your team, please reach out to Ben. He can be contacted via email at ben@saffronqa.co.uk. And we always start an episode with banter, and today, Beth, take it away.
Okay, so firstly, congratulations on 100 episodes. Like, that is, it is genuinely, it's an amazing achievement.
Who would have thought it?
I was reading today that apparently only 1% of podcasts make it to their 21st episode. So you are in the finite percentage of people that stick it out to get all the way to the big 100. So well done. I'm sure hopefully over the course of this episode we can find out more about what this journey's looked like. To kick us off with some banter that's themed around 100s, I would love to know, can you tell me something that you've done 100 times or more? Who's first? Chris.
Thanks. Well, I can't say a podcast because I haven't been on all 100.
None of us have.
No, none of us have, which is probably a blessing. But I would say probably in terms of recent times, I'm sure Simon will probably say I've had 100 jobs, but that isn't actually true.
You read my mind.
Maybe in recent times, something I've done 100 times probably would be making a roast dinner. We do in my household, we try and do one a week if we can. It doesn't always happen. It's just nice to try and have a proper sit down, nice roast dinner. Sorry, that wasn't very interesting at all. Maybe the next person you pick on. It depends what you call trimmings.
Mashed potato.
No, we don't. We don't need to go there. Mashgate's too early. No, a roast potatoes is the dream with those things. And actually, I only do Yorkshire puddings with beef. So
Do you?
There's
Wow.
for you.
I thought I knew you. Oof. Okay, Simon, what's your 100 things that you've done, good or bad?
I think the thing that comes to mind, I'm not sure why this comes to mind first, is losing to my eldest son on Mario Kart. I must have done that at least 100 times.
Nice.
He's quite good.
And do you
Quite
actually,
frustrating.
do you have to pretend to lose,
No.
or do you genuinely?
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
He's thrashing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We did a 48 race marathon at the weekend, and he won probably 46 of them.
It never gets
Sometimes.
old, does it?
No.
Your kids lose it, beating you at something. Never gets old in their eyes. Yeah.
In their eyes, I think Simon's a bit downtrodden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Race 6, I think Simon was already beaten.
David, how about you?
Oh gosh, I've been trying to rack my brains. Probably, I mean, there's been many more than 100 times, but cycling to work, basically, come rain, sleet, snow, fog, inclement weather cycling, I would say, because I'm not a fair weather cyclist.
I was hoping one of you would say something vaguely sporty, because I was listening back to the earlier episodes, and there was a lot of sportsmanship thrown in there with gymnastics and
Tennis.
all the various things you've all been
Yeah.
smashing it at. So yeah, it's good to know you've kept that up. Russell.
I was going to say 100 episodes, we're probably doing less sport now than we were at the start. It's what, 3 years?
Just thinking that.
Yeah, 100 things. It's like my brain automatically went to work, which I guess is where my brain is right now. So I was thinking interviews. It's probably where my first thought went to. I've done at least 100 interviews, probably in the last couple of years. And that's kind of where I went.
How many of those have you enjoyed?
A lot, to be honest. I enjoy meeting the people, having the conversation, learning about it. I don't enjoy the car crash ones. I can't lie. Those ones where it's uncomfortable for everyone, but there's a process you've got to get through for fairness and transparency and things. But I do enjoy meeting people, hearing their stories, getting some context and background, and trying to make it more enjoyable than just completely like true and false questions, you know what I mean? Actually learn about someone. So I do enjoy that. I always hate saying no to people because there can be great conversations, but not what you're looking for, if you know what I mean.
But doesn't it make your day when you have an interview that goes really well and you think you're a superstar? Yeah.
Yes.
It's the best feeling. Yeah.
And then they decline you off. But it was a nice conversation. There's something learned. There's been connections I've made that way as well. So yeah.
Oh, good.
What about you, Beth?
Oh, I was hoping I wouldn't get asked. Things that I've done 100 times. Probably baking. My little boy's getting quite into his baking, and on Sunday evenings we like to freestyle a new recipe. So we see what ingredients we've got and what we can make out of them. So, you know, it's roughly 50%. There'll be something edible at the end, but that's all good. So yeah, he's past the stage where he would get bogeys in things and you can actually eat what's produced. So that's definitely something I think I've done 100 times or more. Nice.
Cool.
Right. Nice. We're all warmed up. Lovely stuff. Obviously, this episode is a very special one because it's the big centenary, the big 100. I have some kind of questions to ask, and we can kind of see where this takes us. But something I'd love to kick off with is knowing, what are you most proud of? If you reflect back on the 100 episodes, but also the testing peers as a kind of thing that's happened in your lives, what are maybe some unexpected wins that you're proud of?
It's two very separate things, really. I think with the podcast, I think the fact that anybody who wasn't immediate family or friends listening was the greatest achievement. People actually finding it and telling other people to listen. That's just kind of wild. I remember back when I remembered how to blog that sort of thing was really exciting when you saw the numbers get bigger than like 10 or 20. And the fact that people would actually listen, give feedback, they liked it, and any sort of positive feedback. And we always say at the end of the episode, we like feedback, we want feedback, we want to improve. The fact that people gave us feedback and they liked it and they shared it and stuff it made the hosting sites statistics page a bit addictive to start with, and you saw the numbers go up a little bit. It was quite exciting. I mean, the pandemic when it started was pretty bleak, so this was a really exciting thing. I'm not going to touch on the community thing yet because otherwise it's just me talking.
I would have touched on the community thing. I think that was almost unexpected thing. I think when we started, we never had any intention. Oh, the creaky chair's back. Apologies. Had to come back out for the 100th.
Never been away, Simon.
Well, it has been
Just
WD recorded
editing.
a few times. When we started, it was just the four of us, and we didn't see the whole Slack thing becoming a proper safe place for everyone. And I think, you know, the community we've built is quite humbling. That there's lots of safe spaces. People feel free sharing sometimes quite personal stories in the group, and you know, everyone feels like it's a place where you can get the cheerleading when you need it, and you can get the assurances when you need it as well. And I'm really pleased with that. But yeah, I still marvel at the fact we're still doing it. I think as well, you know, the fact that we've not all gone, you know what, I need my Tuesday nights back, I need whatever, I haven't got time for this. We're still finding time to do it. Yes, we're not coming every week, but we are making it, you know, more often than not to record episodes. So it's really pleased with all of that.
When you think about the fact that you guys hadn't all physically met in the same place at the same time when you started this whole journey off, now you have, right?
We still get on.
And you, yeah,
3 times.
you
I think.
haven't
Yeah.
torn each other's hair out or whatever. I mean, that's to have kind of forged a relationship like that that's so built on trust when you haven't physically met. Does it kind of surprise you that you're still here?
I don't think so. The thing the podcast is audio record of our conversations that we were having anyway. We were chatting on Slack way before we even considered doing a podcast. So we got really quite close, and there was a comment at some point when, we were almost talking more to each other during a work day than we were to our own families.
Simon said that in the first episode.
And it became a sort of camaraderie. As Chris hinted, the first episode, we would have been happy with 50 downloads. We weren't doing it to gain followers. The whole journey of this is just to get our message and our passion and our thoughts out to the wider community. It's a passion of us. We have created 100 episodes. We've self-financed it, or with the help of the community. We've edited it ourselves. We know it's not a polished article, and we know we're not going to compete with the millions that other do, but we have had 44,000 downloads, and we're proud of that. And as you said, Beth, we've got 100 episodes. We have persevered. We have enjoyed it. We still give up our Tuesday evenings. We value every co-host that we've had because they bring a little different aspect to us. So it isn't just the four of us. We have evolved, and we will continue to evolve. And it's really great that we have the four of us initially, but also great people that we can call upon to join us in this journey.
Well, of course. Yeah, I think there's definitely, reflecting back on the episodes, there's definitely been some experimentation, and evolution is a word that you mentioned there. Before we think about some of those, Russell, did you have any reflections on kind of things you're proud about?
To be honest with you, they've all really been covered, which I think it's the community, it's the friendship. We've met, I think, 3 times still in person or something like that, or 4 times, not many. Yet we still spend a large chunk of time together, or talking together, or doing things. And we've evolved this into, I'm sure we're going to talk about this more at some point, but in the not too distant future, we're putting on a conference together.
Yay!
That's quite cool. PSCon, And
1 month and 3 days after release of this episode.
There you go. I'm glad someone knows when it's getting released. So it's just interesting how it's evolved, how we've learned things. I think we've grown as individuals. We've used each other's knowledge to help see different perspectives and lenses, and that's helped me be a better person, never mind tester. I think that's quite kind of something I've got out of this, which is quite good.
I think we've all been on personal journeys during that time frame as well, and it's one thing that we've all come back to as a safe place for the four of us. We know that the regular conversations have kept us going in some scenarios, which I think has been really crucial, without getting too sentimental. But it has been a real positive, especially since the pandemic.
The community side of things is really important to me. We know that the pandemic kind of crushed a lot of things in our lives. We started talking, and this testing peers journey, I think it was even named by Simon in November of 2018. I've been keeping track of dates because I'm cool. When we started talking, it was mostly because I felt that testing leaders who I thought were in a similar position to me might feel isolated, might need accountability, might need help, challenge, support, the beginnings of community. And I kind of saw it as a really small thing, 2, 3, 4 people. But actually, it sort of naturally grew as we went through. And then along with the podcast, which Simon's to blame for, people, in case you want someone to blame for it existing. But with that coming, it sort of shone a bit more of a light on sort of the work that we were doing with each other. And there wasn't a leader. There wasn't anybody that was driving forwards particular initiatives. And we were just being supportive, communicative, collaborative, supporting community. And other people were slowly but surely coming along for the journey. And, not everyone is a podcast host. Not everyone is the most vocal person, but there are real human connections that are being made. Real people are being supported and helped and listened to as a part of that. And regardless of anything else that we've done, that's something to be really proud of. And I feel really blessed that you four and all of the others that we interact with have been happening, and the conference taking place is probably going to make me cry. So,
okay, we have a prediction for tears.
I would have said, especially in the cancel culture, the woke world that we live in, unfortunately now, 4 middle-aged white men putting on a podcast, I honestly thought it was quite a risk at the time, that it could get quite a lot of backlash, or where's your diversity, where's this, that and the other. But actually, on the whole, It's been a very positive, warm reception that we've got from doing this, and it has given us a platform to try other things. I know we dabbled in the maker tester, and there's still more we can do on that, but we did make some waves. We did find out a lot of stuff about doing that journey. It has given us a way to spread the word under the Testing Peers banner in a lot of ways. We've done our bit in improving the testing community, I think.
So talk to me then about some of the other experiments that you've tried as this thing's evolved. And also I see that the very first podcast went out on May the 10th, 2020. And that must have been very, very close to the first UK lockdown, right? Maybe a month or two after that happened.
It was March the 14th, wasn't it? Or March the 20th?
March
16th was when Boris Johnson told us to stay home.
I think we recorded it quite early on in the end of March, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think we left it a while because you hadn't played with the editing tools at that point. We didn't do the end-to-end recording. We did the central bit, and then we went back
didn't have very good microphones.
No, we didn't.
The first episode, I think, took 7 hours to edit because it was finding the bits from. Yeah, the first few took a long time.
Well, for context, how long does it take to do one now?
Probably about 3 hours, I'd say.
300 hours plus of time. That's a job.
It's a job sometimes to fit it in.
It's just shining a light. This is David and Russell. They've been doing the editing. Every podcast, the two of them have done their own time. They've been doing a superb job. So
mainly
well
David.
done those days.
Thank you.
Do you think getting through all of the stuff that happened around that time, 2020, because there was so much uncertainty and things up in the air, do you think this kind of helped to ground you and ground that time?
Definitely.
And have a consistent thread running through your kind of lives?
If I'm honest, I think if there hadn't been a pandemic, we may never have actually released it, and it may just have been a conversation and an idea, and then we just got sidetracked, distracted, parked it, and
We
so
had a
on.
lot of spare time, didn't we?
There have been times when we've struggled to get episodes recorded. As soon as we got out of lockdown, we were suddenly busy and getting on with our lives and going to work and finding our own feet. And so there was a couple of weeks. Luckily, we had episodes on the back burner, so we could keep the cadence. But there was a time when it was very close to the wind as to not having any episodes.
I think only once have we actually missed an episode completely in that period as well. And where we've not released one every 2 weeks. It may be a day late or 2 days late in some scenarios.
It was a Wednesday release instead of a Sunday or a Monday.
I think there was one that we missed completely, but over 100 episodes, that's pretty impressive. And
99% success rate.
And the other thing we tried was during the first anniversary month, we released an episode every week, and 2 of those were complete flops. We tried new things. We tried to do the AMA. We gathered questions from people. We realized the AMA format for a podcast isn't the best. We're not Josh Widdicombe and Rob Beckett. We don't get millions of questions that we can use for a podcast AMA. We had about 15, and we fleshed that out over 2 episodes. we tried it, and it didn't work particularly well. But on the whole, we've stuck to the general podcast format, just changed the topics. And I think the biggest thing we've done that's kept it going and kept it fresh was introducing the guest hosts. And that came out of the fact that we weren't around every Tuesday anymore, or every Wednesday, or every Monday, whatever night we've recorded.
We have changed nights, haven't we?
I'd go so far as to call them now just co-hosts. They're not even guests anymore.
Yeah, they're not
We've had
guest
so
co-hosts.
many,
Yes.
we're peers. So yeah. Anyone and everyone.
So maybe next step is all 4 of us step back and let our peers run the podcast.
They're going to do the editing perfect.
Yeah, can they do the editing as well?
So I heard someone band around the 44,000 number, which is really nice that we're living in a world where you can get data that easily and you can do things. Are there any other kind of stats about the podcast that sort of you're particularly pleased with, or not? Or is there anything that you think I kind of would have expected that to maybe be a bit more popular?
Can I just check something, Beth? Have you listened to every episode?
I will have listened to. I think if this was a what is it, non-functional requirement, if it was an NFR, I'd probably have hit about 85-90%.
So I wonder whether anyone has, apart from, I don't even know if all 4 of us have listened to every episode. I guess David or Russell will have listened to most of them.
Yeah, I've listened to them all.
I've listened to everyone. So, I mean, wonder whether anyone other than us four has actually listened to every single one. But that's a
Get in
stat
touch
to find
if
out
you're
with our
that person.
community. Yeah, absolutely.
I like the experimentation though. I like we've talked about having other hosts and stuff, and that's been really exciting. Different voices, different ideas, different people getting involved. I've really enjoyed that because I love these three guys here, but I can kind of guess sometimes what they're going to say. I know that, like, we've had enough conversations. You throw just one new person into the mix, and all of a sudden people are like eliminating mashed potatoes from Christmas dinners, and these things, it just wouldn't have happened necessarily otherwise. But I like it. We've not every episode has been four people talking about a particular topic. We talked about the AMAs. We also had Heather Reid talk through.
When she did her revisit of
the 30 thing every new tester should learn.
Yeah, that was great.
Few other ideas of things that we want to sort of cover that are a bit sidebar, and we did talk about maybe doing like a whole other like different series of things. But actually, like, we're all testing peers. We're willing and able to have a go, have an experiment, learn from it, and then see.
And actually, even though that episode with Heather Reid was episode 72, it appears in the top 10. It's downloaded over 600 episodes, so it has
number 6.
Yeah.
So definitely guest hosts for the win.
And Christmas episodes, Beth, would you like to talk about them?
No. I'm still cross.
They're some of my
Go
favorite.
back if you want to see some genuinely irate Marshall action.
I think actually that was one of the first times that we had any kind of disagreement.
It was
on the podcast.
the first time. Yeah. I do apologise, Beth, for causing that angst.
Thanks. If you can give me something in writing or nothing at all.
I'll come with some mashed potato to the Piers Con.
Yes. I will also bring mashed potato, and it'll be like Bodger and Badger.
Yeah, fight.
Yeah.
That's the lunchtime entertainment sorted. But I think we did learn something from the first Christmas episode, because I think we overloaded the guests on the first one, and I remember
with 8 people,
eight people, and I know David was almost drowning, saying this is going to take.
And there was Simon going, we only need a week to it. Oh no, the editing.
No. And we also learned the pre-planning at that point as well. We started from the following year. We recorded our Christmas episode in November. Or, to try and plan it. We didn't manage that this year, unfortunately.
Little insight for the listener. There's not a lot of planning that goes on in Testing Peers podcast.
But you've got a Trello board, right? With future ideas. And
when was the last time we looked at it?
So who comes up with the ideas for episodes?
5 minutes before the episode start. What should we talk about tonight?
We all do a little bit.
Yeah, we all bring ideas.
Sometimes the guest, sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's something that's happened at work, or something like that triggers us, or conversation.
We've always got someone's always got an idea of something they might want to talk about.
We sometimes have to sort of temper some ideas. I mean, usually it's because we're ranting about something that we want to record about that, and then we go, well, actually, no, maybe we should take the heat out of that before we talk about it.
We have had a roulette wheel at one point as well.
We've done Wheel of Names.
Wheel of Names a couple of times, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is actually an interesting point, because we also have a desire to have a Testing Peers episode where we talk about diversity and inclusion. But clearly, with 4 white middle-aged British men, we're not that representative in that circumstance. So I think what would be an aspiration for me, I've probably jumped the gun here, Beth, I apologise, but we were talking about topics. I think it'd be really awesome if we could get from our community a better, well represented group to talk about diversity and inclusion. I think that would be a really important episode to cover.
I think depending how far I want to take that, we could look at some of the flagship diversity days, and we've got a community now where we could look at a International Women's Day episode where
we've done mental health awareness, right?
We've done mental health awareness, absolutely. I mean,
I'm really proud of those episodes.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me with those episodes was the amount of comments we got afterwards saying, thank you, that episode really helped me, or I really resonate. And those are some of the episodes where we got the most responses and the most shares and stuff on our socials.
It's an interesting point that Chris has made, because there's so many different angles from it. We aren't a diverse group. Let's face it, this is a video recording of this one, so you'll see there's different angles. Obviously, we want to be advocates. I think that's half the point, isn't it? So, we can elevate a voice sometimes, but you obviously need to hear different perspectives on it, because we haven't experienced some of the things ourselves and so on. It's something that we're keen to know more about, to hear different angles, hear different sides, to kind of help elevate, I guess, the kind of concepts and ideas around it, equity and so on.
And I think the reflection that I would have on that is that the kind of community aspect of the peers is a very broad church, if you like. There's a lot of, look at the guests that have been on this podcast. They are quite varied, interesting people with a variety of experiences and things. And I think that's a really welcome relief to a lot of what is cluttering up my LinkedIn feed at the moment, which just seems to be a little bit negative, a little bit toxic, just about competition and divisiveness. And I think having a community like this one shows how powerful it can be when people work together on stuff.
Intentional inclusion.
Culture fit, not culture.
Culture add, not
Culture add, not culture. I think it also it's how we celebrate the little things. The fact we've got the I Said No channel where people can actually say, you know what, I've pushed back on that commitment, and people are like, yeah, you've done the right thing, well done. It's not just about the big sob stories or the things I'm really struggling with. There is general celebration of things as well, which is
Celebrate good times channel as well.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that there's a place where you can celebrate someone's achievements and have your achievements celebrated, even if it's just, something that would be too minor to put anywhere else. But you just want a moment to celebrate it. Like, that's really nice to know you're not going to have a load of pushback or any sort of negative pile on, because I do think that doesn't
exist
a bit
in
of a
social
sad,
media,
it's a
Beth.
sad
Don't
indictment. Yeah.
That doesn't happen in social media. I don't know what you're on about.
It's
It's a love fest, LinkedIn and Twitter. And
during the time Testing Peers has been around, we've seen the startup and the demise of a lot of different platforms and things people have tried to experiment with. And what was it, Rocket or Discord and all these different things, and Twitter coming and going. And there's actually been a lot of change.
We've outlived them all.
Twitter was our big thing when we started. It was the thing we got the most likes, etc. on. But now it doesn't get anything because the thing's moved on. Everyone's moved off it, and LinkedIn has just exploded as far as being the only place really where we get any real sort of acknowledgement and shares and comments and thoughts about it. So it's interesting because also things like the Ministry of Testing, Slack died a death, and that was a real big thing for us as well, being able to share stuff on there. That's gone, and the community dynamic changed, and it felt like there was a hole for us to fill with our own community. And yes, we're in the very early stages still of growing that out, but it has filled a gap, and it's the only Slack channel I spend any time in, to be honest, now.
So thinking then, something that I really like about almost every episode that I've listened to is that there's always a point at which you think about the people that are listening and you think about what can you share that's going to help them. And I guess that ties back into the peers being kind of, I don't want to say of the people for the people because that sounds ridiculous, but it isn't about one person telling everyone what they think and not really listening. What advice or snippets would you have for people who want to reach that point where they're getting to 100 episodes of a podcast? They want to reach a point where they're developing a community. They are thinking about doing experiments like putting on their own testing conferences. What advice would you give on things to try and things to avoid?
It's tempted by a very tongue-in-cheek, don't do it. But if I'm honest with you, I would say do it.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things when you put yourself out there or do something, it kind of creates something. And it's kind of, I think we've said it in podcasts before, if you help one person, it's been of some value once. And that be that podcast, be that blogging, be that talking at events, be that just listening to somebody in a conversation in a pub, to be quite blunt. So it's huge value to kind of do something and to experiment and to kind of put yourself out there.
I'd also say find yourself your first follower. Find yourself the person who believes in you, that critical friend who supports you, but also can challenge you. And all of us have supported and challenged people's ideas and things. As you've seen the episode and what we've discussed, we will always sometimes be challenged and try new things and realize actually that we won't do that again. But actually trying things and, as we said, first of all, actually challenging ourselves to get a podcast out in the first place. We talked about it for a couple of weeks. And we thought, no, let's just do it. There has to come a point where you either talk about it forever and nothing ever happens, or stop talking about it, or you then action it. And we worked together in order to, we each had our, editing, finding the site, doing it. We built it up very quickly, but we couldn't. It's a lot of work to do on your own, but having a collective spirit, it certainly helps. But having critical friends and supportive people around you are an absolute must.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, having experience trying to set up a separate podcast myself as well, and getting to a point where I couldn't really do it on my own, doing this as a group was really, it really has helped us all. And it's become a habit. I think that's the biggest thing as well. We've done it for long enough that it's become a ritual almost, that we know at least every other week now, maybe not every week, we will record an episode, but most weeks, even if we don't record, we'll at least get on the call and have a chat with each other and check in. And, it just becomes part of our week, which is good, because it, especially after the pandemic, having some habits that continued has been sort of how we've kept sane in some respects. But I would say, if you want to do that kind of thing, try it, but find your tribe and find your first, like David said, your first followers, the first people that believe in your message that you're trying to get out there, or, your first super fan, like Beth. You were one of the first that actually really sort of hooked into the, this is a great idea, do it kind of thing. And your support has been appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're one of the first to give us feedback, which is how we know.
Oh, was I really?
Mm.
Early adopter. Very good.
I think I've got a couple of cliches that I would say that go with these things. I like a bit of cliche. So, like, just following on some of those bits that we said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You got to put yourself out there and go for it. Like, we've clearly done some things that have failed, but we've kept on. We've learned from them. We've decided there are things that we won't do again. We once tried to name an episode after some song titles, because I do that. It flopped. We renamed it, did better. But another one is the team that works together wins together. Like, this absolutely no way this podcast would have maintained a fortnightly cadence for releases if we didn't do these things where, we all go through seasons where we've got mental fog, we're moving house, we're changing jobs, something's going on in our lives, we're unavailable. We're a supportive community, and that's broader than just the four of us, but we're here to like, family first is like a common phrase we have when something's come up and we can't jump on those things, and people are apologizing. You don't worry, like, that's not important. Like, I can take up the slack, I'll do this thing, you do that, don't worry. The beauty of that is, like, people have got, like, moving and flexing bandwidths in their lives at various times, and as we go through more and more years, we sort of learn when we go through these cycles and these seasons. And we are, like, generally quite supportive. We sometimes have a little bit of over banter with Simon, particularly, but he knows we love him.
Let's be honest, we bully Simon in a constructive way.
Yeah.
We do.
Not
the
often on the
constructive
episodes.
bullying, right?
Yes, exactly. It's banter, isn't it? A constructive bullying.
You don't usually do it in public.
Don't usually, yeah, you're right.
But I definitely think if you've ever worked with people that assume the worst of someone, or have quite a critical view on people and their intentions, it's so refreshing when you aren't around people with that kind of picture, who they assume positive intent always, and they understand someone's point of view. And that is such a massive deal, and such a reason to keep coming back to a community like this one, because you think, okay, you get that. You get it.
I think part of the reason why we felt we were able to put a conference on, and Russell's done a lot of the heavy lifting so far, so but we're all chipping in where we can, is because people have started, we felt people were buying into that ethos. They believed in the message. They've backed us to get us this far. There will be people that come along to the conference that have never listened to the podcast, but I imagine the majority of people that come along will have been on the journey with us. So certainly the people that are excited about the conference are ones that know us, and they've got to know us through the podcast.
So I am one of these people who is pretty giddy with excitement, because I just think it's back to that thing of having an aspiration and chewing it over and wondering if it's going to work, And I'd love to know the first podcast episode where that was mentioned, but it was a long time ago where you said, I'd love to put on a conference. I'd love to do
It
that.
might have been the conferences episode.
I think it might have been earlier than that. I think we talked about it very early I seem to remember when we listened to the episode 1 back in the car on the way back from Alton Towers that there was some reference of maybe one day we'll do a conference.
We're talking about conference speaking.
Conference speaking, not necessarily delivering.
We're going one step further. But yeah, no, I think it was quite early on that we did say it was an aspiration. Whether we'd actually ever get there.
It's not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing. And what is fantastic, having a little insider view on how interested and excited people are about it, and seeing it kind of fall together from concept to something that's genuinely happening. And I think something that's just going to be really, really cool. And it's also in the north, which, you know,
we've talked about this.
I'm a big fan of. Nottingham is technically north by someone's
north
definition.
of London, south of most of England.
So tell me all about the conference. Like, I want to know all about the conference, and I'm sure the listeners do. So tell us what's going on.
So I'll give you a brief thing, because obviously we've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And like the podcast, we decided, right, if we're going to do it, just got to do it. So, you know, we haven't as much time as we would have liked between things. So we're going to announce, I think, most of it. So we've announced a couple of keynotes. One of them isn't Beth. Never mind.
Maybe so you've got Lee Rathbone and Heather Reid, who are both like super awesome. Like, I've seen them keynote at other conferences where they would have been paid a packet to come and speak, and they're doing this there is no money to pay speakers for this conference. So you can attract that kind of talent.
Not us, which is great. The community can. So because we're putting this on for the people, we've kind of framed this as like, look, this is a community-driven thing, but we're just members of the community. We're no one special. We're doing this for the benefit of everyone. Putting it on, we're keeping it cheap, 20 quid a ticket. I think
we're not getting paid.
We're not getting paid. You're not getting paid. No one's getting paid. It's costing us money to get there. All the rest of it, like everyone else is. You know, we're in this together. So we've got a couple of keynotes. We've got the rest of the cut of agenda, which by the time this goes out should be published.
That's the plan.
Can we have some sneaky insights?
Well, it wouldn't be sneaky if it's already published, because we wouldn't be insights then.
I haven't heard it.
We can tell you after. It would make sense in the podcast.
Well, to be fair, by the time this goes out on Monday, the intention would be that the program would be announced. So
yeah, but we're planning on dropping some names, not all names at once.
But by Monday, we should have announced all of them, shouldn't we?
I don't know.
Is there one name you could give me? Can I push you for one name that you know is definitely?
I can tell you not a name, but there is more than one nationality involved.
Nice.
And we've gone international. Yeah. There is more than one gender. That's
we could also say that one of the peers is speaking.
That's a mic drop.
Not solo.
Joint talk.
And it's not me.
Cutting it down then.
I was going to say, and Simon is desperate to be on the main stage for the welcome.
Yes,
I would like to try my hand at emceeing, hosting, but I don't know if that's feasible.
So we might give him a test and experiment to see whether we go with that.
Give him an hour.
You could always join me, Beth. Do it as a pair.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
I want some input from you, actually, Beth.
Putting me on the spot in a podcast is definitely a way of getting me to say yes to things, by the way.
This is
right. Tell us.
I want your input. This is
go on.
So we've got these brilliantly named volunteers. They're called volunteers.
Volunteers, yeah. Lovely.
Now, obviously, if you're a volunteer at any of the other wonderful conferences, you often wear quite a nice bright colour. What colour do you think our volunteers should be wearing on the day?
I think it should be one of the 4 colours in the Testing Peers logo, like an exact colour match.
Simon would like yellow, I can tell already.
I don't know how many volunteers you're having, but if there can be a mixture so that they're in some of the 4 colours, like Google, because it would be so instantly recognisable to me and maybe 2 or 3 other attendees that's what's happening.
That's got 4 colours.
This is up the cost of everything.
One of those lovely global hypercolour ones, which shows when you get
when you breathe on them. Yeah.
Probably
that'd be great.
Maybe need to calm our ambitions a little bit.
But it's gonna be all day, 2 tracks.
Yep, 2 tracks.
We're gonna have a couple workshops, a couple keynotes. The venue's great. They'll be putting on food for us.
What games?
Lots of hotels
As in,
nearby
like,
too, right?
Yeah.
Football. We've got there's hotels.
Well, yeah, we might be able to get some really cool like extra activities. We might have some 9 out of 10 testers getting involved.
Well, they're written down on the list of things happening.
Exactly.
So they better be there now.
But we might.
We also have
that
some of the potential sponsors that we're potentially partnering with. They're talking about bringing some activities with them as well.
Oh, great.
We want to make it interactive.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's not just about a thread of conference talks. It wants to be it's a community event. People have a chance to try their hand at a few different things.
And actually, that's a really good point, because you know at most conferences you go to, you kind of all sat in rows. You won't be at PeersCon. That's it.
In the
All I'm
round.
saying.
Oh my God. There's a mic drop right there.
There is a mic drop right there.
Because we want people to talk. So we want people
What
to be...
are you most excited about? Thinking about
the
what's happening
15th
at
of March.
PeersCon. What do you want to narrow it down a bit?
What the day after?
What is going to put a big smile on your face
Happy
if
people.
you see happening?
Just seeing people there, knowing that we brought them together and enjoying themselves at a face-to-face testing conference.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's the four of us being on stage at the start of the day, welcoming everyone into it and feeling like we've helped put this on. And it's that feeling of this is what we've it's not that we've achieved it, but we've put this on for the community. Feels like we're doing our bit, especially at the cost element as well, making it accessible. Some people have been quite grateful that we're making it an event that they can afford to come to without having to ask their company to pay for it. They can do it off their own back. So I think for me it's that, standing out and looking into the audience and seeing lots of excited faces looking back at us, looking forward to a day of hopefully being entertained and learning something new.
The Yorkshire side of me will be happy that it's gone on and the costs and so on, because this is done at risk, us financially,
Totally.
commitment to costs and things like
Yes.
that to sponsors. So pulling it off, getting sponsors, getting people there and seeing happy faces that the community itself has got value from it means it'll be worthwhile, and I will sleep like a happy man.
I'm going to make a prediction that my favourite thing about PeersCon is going to be hearing people say how much they want PeersCon to be an annual event. I'm just going to put that out there. That's happening. I'm putting that into the world.
Is that the first vote, Beth?
That's my prediction.
That's the conference chair for 2025.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to is a coming together of people that I know either personally or sort of just by reputation from different sort of communities and conferences that I might know in one place, but maybe I wouldn't have seen them together, and seeing that sort of the whole new sort of melting pot of different minds mingling. Like when Test and Peers started, I knew all the people that had been joined because I knew them, but the minute they started having their own conversations and their own relationships, that was really exciting. And that's what I'm looking forward to just seeing. If anything, if I can just sort of stand in the corner and just watch and be like, this is what should be happening, community in action, that put me in a big smile. I also plan on hugging as many people who will let me, for sure.
I think there's an element for me that it's a bit like that. And I know Chris, Beth, you were both there, that first test bash after the pandemic, where it felt like the community coming together and everyone being excited to see each other. I have a feeling that PeersCon will be a little bit like that, as far as bringing people together that wouldn't usually have come to a conference together. And like Chris said, people from different communities, but I think there's a lot of people that have never been to a testing conference that are coming along already as well, that have spoken to me about this will be their first one, and they're really looking forward to it. So it's quite exciting from that aspect as well, of building a new community.
That's great. What a gift, because I mean, there was even a podcast about conferences and the first conference you've all been to, and
episode 67.
Nice. And that's what a gift to give to somebody, their first conference. So let's make it a good
pressure
one.
about doing a good job then.
Yeah, amazing. Right, well, I've really enjoyed talking to you all tonight, and thank you for being so honest and answering questions and being so honest for the last few years. Really, I think it speaks a lot to what the Peers is like that the 99th episode was called Failures. Because you're not afraid of failure and you're not afraid to try new things.
Oh, we're terrified of failure.
Yeah. But Have you got any kind of parting words at the end of this 100th episode?
I was going to ask, what's next? I know we're doing the conference.
World tour.
Podcast-wise, do we continue? Do we stop at 100?
No, we carry
Well,
on.
that sounds like a good idea, though. What we do is we cross-train more. So we swap roles.
You want to get people to do editing. Yeah, and we open it to the wider Testing Peers community, see if someone else wants to pick up the
I think we swap
editing.
roles. Me and David will do socials.
Yeah.
And Chris and Simon can do editing.
I've already promised that if I do editing, I'm going to do a lot of voiceover and narration over the top.
Lots of random noise.
Probably singing and
just pressing random noise effects into the episode.
It'll be an experiment, Chris. Said we'll try and fail.
Yeah,
Sorry, we'll try experiment, not fail.
I think my sort of parting shot before the outro, which I'm also going to do, but I'll let everyone else have a word before then. My final thought, just on like this Testing Peers 100, is I can't get my head around it. I don't think I ever will, but I've just enjoyed it, and thank you to anyone that's listened, everyone that's given any feedback, even when people don't like it. It's good. It's good to know we thrive on feedback, and it's awesome that anyone has listened. That's kind of the main crux of it, really. Like, it just blows your little mind that some people sitting in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different living rooms around the world could have something recorded together that somebody else actually has given up their time to listen to. So thank you. I shall move on to the outro very smoothly. Nice transition from me to me. Good job. So that was Testing Peers 100. Thank you very, very much for listening. If you're coming to Nottingham on the 14th of March for Testing Peers Con, tickets still available, £20, testingpeerscon.com. We would love to see you. We're not going to run out of tickets, so please come and get involved. Share, tell your friends, get involved. We'd love to see you there. Thank you to Saffron QA for their sponsorship. Thank you a million times to Beth Marshall for her wonderful hosting. Thank you to all of the hosts of Testing Peers so far. We look forward to many, many more. Please give us all your feedback. You can contact us at testingpeers.com. You can find us on most of the socials. We are more likely to get back to you on LinkedIn than any of the other ones, I would hazard a guess. But thank you so much, and we will see you for the next 100. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
For now, it's goodbye from the Testing Peers.
Goodbye.